Welcome to the Big Blue Offensive Podcast with Mike Trainer, Jay Jules, and John Depot. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the BBO NYG Podcast. I'm Mike. That's Jules. That's Vin. Jules, you got it. If everybody's watching on YouTube, Jules's little message on the board is Super Bowl sucked. I mean, of course it sucked. It was one of the worst Super Bowls I've ever watched, ever.
Honest to God, I was so happy that I went out for it, because if I had been home watching it, I probably would have changed the channel. It was literally that pathetic of a fucking Super Bowl. I can't even believe the NFL signed up for this bullshit.
Ben, you liked it? Did you love the Super Bowl?
I'm going to say it was the worst Super Bowl I ever saw. I say, I'm not trying to be sensationalized, because there's been a lot of blowouts that I've seen.
Giants were one of them.
Yeah, Peyton Manning, losing to Seattle, from the get. So, those games suck. But what makes this one worse is it was two unlikable teams. Most of the country didn't like either team. And for Philadelphia, who I hate with a passion, I got a couple rants in me tonight. But I'm saving one very important that I hold very near and dear. It has nothing to do with the game.
Well, listen, and not only that, it was the hype around it. You literally had all this controversy of how the Chiefs had gotten to the Super Bowl, all these blown fucking calls in the AFC Championship game. You're hyping them up to do something that's never been done in the history of the fucking NFL. They're going to win 3 straight. And then they were favored going in. I can't remember the last time that a favorite that had all this hype train behind them, quote unquote, the best quarterback in the NFL, and fucking they lay an egg like this.
He looked like Daniel Jones.
Close, dude. It wasn't even close.
Mahomes looked like Daniel Jones.
For real, dude.
I don't know. Somebody on this podcast named me did say the one weakness that the Kansas City Chiefs had was their tackles. They had no tackles. I said that Thunny guy is a guard playing tackle. I'm like, if they could get pressure up the middle, it's going to be tough for Mahomes. I don't care who he's throwing. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's hard to pick against Mahomes, but, Philly they were manufacturing pressure without a blitz in the game in Washington, and I'm like,
nuts.
It was insane. That defensive line was insane on Mahomes all night long.
Can I say one thing about Philly? Jules, one thing about Philly? I think Vin said it way back on the pod or a couple weeks ago. Philly, the last 35 years, they drafted an offensive lineman in every draft. The past 35 years, we've had drafts where we skipped, and they took drafts where they took multiple tackles, multiple guards.
And listen,
that's how you win in the trenches.
Hey, listen, speaking of that, I guarantee you the Chiefs take a fucking offensive lineman in the first round. I guarantee that. Whatever guy is there, they take it, dude. There is no doubt.
And they're going to sign one in free agency.
Of course they will.
They'll do both.
Oh, yeah.
Both ways.
They have to. They have to.
Dude, like I said, it's just the way that this whole thing was created. And like I said, it didn't hit me. I was talking to you guys earlier. It didn't hit me till about 5 o'clock on the day of the Super Bowl that I realized that as much as the fix was in, something different was going to happen, because the NFL at that point didn't care anymore. They got what they wanted. They got Taylor Swift to show up for another Super Bowl. They got fucking the Chiefs to have the hype around going for the 3-peat. They didn't give a fuck who won that game, and you could see it. Bro, there was times when Pat Mahomes got smacked in the face. Dude, if there was a regular season, that guy would have been ejected from the game, let alone fucking not even getting a flag on that play. You know what I'm saying? They were just letting these dudes play, which is fine. I get it. I've got nothing against that. But then look at how bad your product looked, because you had a team that was relying on referee support the entire season. And then when they didn't get it, they got shellacked. And it's like, bro, you could have done that at any point in the season. I think Houston might have beaten them if they fucking would have had that. You know what I'm saying? And that would have been the end of the Chiefs there. We could have just hyped it up around someone else. And who knows? Maybe the Bills would have ended up there. And then you could have had a team that would have been playing for their first ever fucking Super Bowl win. That's a lot of hype too. You would have gotten a lot of viewership. To fucking put this disgrace of a fucking game in play and put your brand on it, bro, this shit was pathetic. pathetic, dude.
The refs did try to keep it close early. Remember the AJ Brown offensive pass interference call? I'm like, here we go. Here's the fix. The fix is in.
Yeah, but I think the helmet play the second or first helmet play of Mahomes happened on the next drive. So it was 1-1 in my book at that point. That's kind of when I stopped really, really paying attention because that's when shit started just getting out of hand and started getting boring as fuck this game.
It was a terrible game. But you know what's worse for us as like Giants fans? Obviously, the whole Barkley situation. I don't want to beat a dead horse about it. We all talked about it. We all know the deal.
Oh, I got something on that.
The whole like off season is going to be about that because now Barkley went over there. He won a championship with the hated Eagles. And then, of course, you see Strahan waving the flag.
Just about to say that.
Pre-game. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about that. I feel mostly, listen, I know everybody wants to attack Strahan of it. Obviously, I wouldn't do that if I was an ex-player, but he's a TV personality now. And you know what?
Yeah, but like
it's the Giants' fault. It's the Giants' fault, man. They gotta even Monty Toomer came on, like everybody's really hating on the Giants organization now, and rightfully so. They haven't got it right.
You also got to keep in mind that at least when Strahan approached that fucking interview, I thought he was going to keep it real as a Giants fan, not as much as just a TV personality, because he first went at Barkley. And he's like, yo, the one thing I can't get over is, and I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but like, he was like, the one thing I can't get over is the fact that you went there and you're an Eagle now, and blah, 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 blah. And then Saquon's sitting there and he's like, yo, at the end of the day, I had to do what was right for my family. And it's like, dude, what do you mean by that? Because what was right for your family means that you make more money, and you turned down the Bears and the fucking Texans, who were going to give you more money than the Eagles did. So that shit wasn't about your fucking family. It was about your fucking ego that got fucking fragile, got broken by the Giants. And
you want to stay close to home. You want to stay close to home. That's probably what it was. You had a home in Pennsylvania.
But for all you motherfucking Eagle fans out there that might be listening or will listen or can hear anything, guess what? It took a fucking star Giant on your team to get you that chip. So shut the fuck up, you faggots. All right, like, please, like, enough. You needed our best fucking player to win that chip, all right? So fuck off. Anyway, with that said, but the only thing I can say that shit.
I got to beep a little bit of that out later.
Yeah, a little bit. It's all right. I'm still holding in some, all right?
The player to win the championship. I wouldn't flex on.
Look, but the point is, I'm sorry, because I went off a little tangent there, and I just wanted to rip on the Philly fans whenever I could. Anyhow, to see Strahan come at him in the interview with that, and then Barkley kind of check him, and then all of a sudden it was like that shit just went out the window, and it was a regular interview, and he's fucking waving the Eagles flag at the end of a boat on the Mississippi River. Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, at least hold your ground to being that guy. I mean, shit, when the Giants, when he was predicting the Giants to win that playoff game against Minnesota a couple of years back, right? He fucking held it true. Like, what are you going against that shit for, dude?
You think LT would do that?
Never. Right? I think that dude ain't fucking on TV, bro.
That's probably what it is. Yeah. You'd fucking, yeah.
How about this? Here's a personality that is very, very engaged with the public, has his own podcast, everything else. But I could never in a million years see Carl Banks give that interview and then fucking start waving the fucking Eagles flag fucking at the end of that fucking thing. And not even to mention that Carl didn't even finish his career with the Giants. And I still wouldn't see him do some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like, there's just no point in that. You couldn't let Barkley wave that shit. You know what I mean? Like, why even get involved?
I forgot. Where did Carl go at the end?
I think he finished in Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken.
To Cleveland?
Yeah, like when it was like Belichick's original like job,
yes,
and they were trying to build that defense like he had Pepper Johnson over there. I think it was so not Pepper,
that's right.
But there was another one of the guys over there. Yeah, he tried to recreate the '90s team, but
he tried to make these
guys were a little bit past that prime. They were missing LT. You know, it was a little different, but I get where he was going with it.
Speaking of that,
playoffs. He got them to the playoffs, Belichick.
Oh, he did. And listen, and you know what? And it's something like that. You can't even really get mad at it. It's like, yo, he went to the AFC. He followed his defensive coordinator that won 2 chips with. You know what I'm trying to say? Like that makes sense. He didn't go to the fucking rival Eagles and throw on that green and fucking be like, yeah, now I want a chip. Like, dude, that shit was miserable. The only thing that saved me was I actually went to like a cool bar in the Brooklyn area, and like there was a fucking huge table of guys that were all fucking rooting for the Eagles because they were half Jet fans and shit. So they didn't give a fuck. They just didn't want to see the Chiefs fucking three-peat. So there was a lot of banter going on. They kept it interesting. We were getting all drunk and fucking hanging out and shit. There's like an outside area. So halftime we're all bullshitting. And bro, it was fucking hilarious because if you come down, I didn't check my numbers the entire time. And I must have had about 8 boxes that I fucking did from various ones. But I had a nice one in that bar. And literally, I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, I see the Chiefs fucking hit that pass to Worthy at the end of the game, and then they go for 2, and I'm like, yo, 2-0. Like, why the fuck does that sound familiar? And I'm already tapping, so I'm like, yo, I think I got this, but it's probably the reverse. I look on my phone. It's the first time I checked my numbers the whole game.
Man,
Bang, that shit hit. I was like, yo, take a fucking knee and let's get the fuck out of here.
I
I
didn't.
blocked out the whole Super Bowl. I couldn't even tell you about the second half. I didn't know shit. I was like, yeah, it sucked. The Chiefs got that Redskins kick. Mahomes ain't Brady, and I fucking hit at the end.
I didn't hit anything. But you said, speaking of guys past their prime, Matthew Stafford rumors going around connected to the Giants. Vin, what's your take on Matthew Stafford to the Giants? Do you like it or do you don't?
100%. I told you about my Lawrence plan A. That's not going to happen. Plan B, I would love it. I think it's all rumors. I think it's, we hired, the coach or whatever, which is the brother.
Yeah.
I think I like Stafford's wife talks a lot. She's always been in the media somehow. I would, Cooper Kupp and Stafford sign me up. And then we have the 3 pick, gives us a lot of power to do what we want there. Best player available, trade the pick. I would love it. We would not be stuck going Shador or Cam or whatever the heck. We get that quarterback locked in bridge. But I got to tell you, I don't think it's going to happen just because why would the Rams get rid of him? Why would
Thank
you?
you. Thank you.
Williams.
Let's not forget. Hold up. Let's not forget. If there wasn't a snowstorm in Philly.
Hold on, Jules.
Oh, sorry.
We're still going.
Like Sean McVay, Puka, why would he leave a young, good team, a great coach? Unless Sean McVay leaves. I know he's contemplated retirement before, but like, why would Matthew Stafford leave sunny LA where he plays in SoFi and come to MetLife where it's cold, the team is a mess? I think Neighbors could possibly be the only Dable and Neighbors. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Why is there even talk that Stafford wants?
That's insane. I think it's just all talk, right? Like it makes zero sense. Literally, if a snowstorm doesn't hit, this Super Bowl might be different. You know what I mean? Because like that snowstorm that hit Philly late in that game, that changed the trajectory, that changed the momentum, it changed everything. Stafford wasn't ready for it, the offense wasn't ready for it. Puka's dropping passes. Who knows what could have happened if that game stayed like with fair weather and not gotten that snowy? That's what I mean. So like, why would you break? I can understand Kupp leaving. That I can understand because they can still pick up a receiver in the draft. There's still free agents out there. They can bring in T. Higgins if they really want to. There's some big names out there that they could bring in for that Rams offense that literally won the fucking division this year. Or they won their division, right? They ended up winning the West, didn't they? Yeah. So it's like, bro, like, how are you, like, why, first of all, is Matthew Stafford going to go to a team that has a number 3 pick overall, hasn't been relevant for a few seasons? He's going to come over here for what? Like, and who's McVay lining up? Like, he's got to have a quarterback in the waiting. Like, he's just going to let fucking Stafford go. Oh,
Jules, the rumor is like we would trade the number 3 pick for Matthew Stafford. That was that was the rumor. And if Sean McVay would let a guy like Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp go, obviously he's going to win the trade because he knows something that other people don't. He knows they're on the downhill of their careers. And Stafford don't play great in the cold weather. He needs a dome. We don't have a dome here. We're done. Like it's the most stupidest thing. I think that guy.
I don't like it. Oh, I would love it. Give me.
You know what? You know what else is circulating too?
Get the guy dark. That's it.
Aaron Rodgers coming to us.
Listen, I'll take him for a year just to be like it's a free agent, and I don't want Russell Wilson, but I'll take Aaron Rodgers over Russell as a free agent veteran just for a year.
And then the last one is Jameson Winston, which is like gotten no real kind of like it got a little buzz. And then that shit died out quick. The dude literally said he would love to play for Dable. Jameson Winston quoted himself and said that he would love to play for Dable, would love to be in New York.
Winston would play for anybody.
Yeah, but that's the point. He didn't necessarily have to narrow the field of all these people, all these teams that are in need of quarterback, especially free agents.
Got the best shot with the Giants, though. He's got a good shot.
Listen, I can see him end up. Why not? He can end up in Vegas. He can end up on the Jets. There's definitely other candidates there. He can end up in Tennessee, especially if Tennessee trades out of that first pick.
My prediction, Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. That's my prediction.
Probably.
I almost think, like, let's say Tennessee, because the Jets are now throwing their hat in the ring. It could get interesting come April with teams trying to trade up if the Titans are really serious about moving out of that number 1 pick. Listen, honestly, I could almost see Rodgers go to the Titans. I don't know why. It's just weird, but I can almost see him doing something like that. Huh?
Tennessee trading out?
What's that?
You heard that? Tennessee?
Yeah, they threw it on the table. Whether or not they take it, it depends, I guess, what kind of an offer they get. I mean, but look, could you see them maybe possibly trade with the Jets, who I think eighth? They pick eighth this year, and they trade back to eight. They get a fucking future first round pick this year, first round pick, something else, and they sign Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean?
Quick question. Do we know who the GM is?
Who, the Jets?
Yeah, who's the Jets GM?
I forget who the fuck it is.
Did they hire somebody?
I think they're starting to put everything in place because what's his name? What's his name is the coach, right?
Aaron.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Aaron Glenn. Yeah. So I mean, look, I'm not following them that hard. There's just too much bullshit going on. You know what I mean?
And we looked that up. I don't think they have a GM.
I mean, I know that Rodgers is definitely not is out, and I know the Jets are definitely interested in a quarterback. So these are all like definite things that are on the board. Look, it makes me in a way feel good because if Vegas or the Jets pull the trigger and they could jump into that 1 or 2 spot, and they're going quarterback, and you already have fucking Shador who thinks he's fucking the gift of all gifts, because the dude's already even saying he's like, yeah, I don't know if I would want to go play for the Jets either. It's like, bro, be fucking humble that you're going as a top 3 fucking pick in the NFL and go play where the fuck you go play. All right, fine. You want to say you don't want to go to the Browns, but it's like, hey, I don't want to go to the Browns. I don't want to go to the Jets. I guess I'll go to Vegas. I don't want to go to the Giants. Yeah, dude. Another kid coming in the draft wants to have the fucking team they want to go to, but you don't hear Cam Ward saying this nonsense. Cam Ward's like, bro, whoever picks me is going to be happy that they got me at quarterback. I'd much rather have that. I don't talk about this because I definitely think Cam is going 1 and 2, and I don't think it's worth trying to trade up 1 fucking spot to try to get him, or 2 even to try to get him, because that's just going to be too much, and it's just you're risking too much of our future just on that one kid. But if he fell to 3, I would fucking love him, dude. I don't give a fuck. I'd much rather have Cam Ward than Shador Sanders. There is no fucking question in my mind who I'd rather have over the 2. It's not even close in my book. And that's why, like, whenever I'm out there blasting Sanders, it's all, and you never hear me say anything about Ward. Am I thrilled about him? Do I think he is on one of those levels of fucking like Jaden Daniels or something like that? I don't know. Not yet. Maybe not. But I still think he's the best of what's in this draft. And I think he's definitely like a tier above fucking Sanders.
Oh, I think he's definitely better than Sanders. He's got the arm.
It's not even close in my eyes. I'm sorry. It's just not. He's where Sanders is more quote unquote polished because daddy has Tom Brady showing him how to fucking move in the pocket and his footwork, and he's got all these fucking coaches working with him and all this bullshit. The kid's also got an ego bigger than as big as Deion's, and he ain't as good as his father. Let's just fucking put that out there. I don't give a fuck who his dad is. He is not his father. This isn't Ken Griffey Jr. trying to pass Ken Griffey Sr. Like, dude, Deion is going to have the better career. I don't give a fuck. That guy's a legend. There's no way his son's going to come in and be a legend too. I don't see it. And everybody wants to bring up that completion shit. He led the NCAA in completion percentage. Yeah. And if you look at the next 9 names, now fucking one of them had a successful NFL career. So what does that stat mean, man? Throw that motherfucker away, because clearly that stat is trash. Okay? Like, enough. You have to go all the way down to number 12. And I think Joe Burrow finished at the 12th overall best percentage lifetime as a college football player. 12th. The other 11 guys ahead of him are all garbage. Like, bro, that doesn't tell me shit. Like, it's retarded.
Yeah. I mean, I can't. I have nothing. I have no response. You got anything before I move on?
No, I really would rather not get either one of them. They don't move the needle for me in any way. And if there's anything that can happen in free agency, I will take any bridge quarterback. I hate Aaron Rodgers with a passion. I would take Aaron Rodgers and his clown show, as long as we're not paying him exorbitant amount of money, over these kids, because these kids are going to be a long-term investment, and they're gonna bring us back, set us back another at least 3 to 4 years, like we did with Daniel Jones. Jones was longer, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want these kids. Let's stock up for next year. Again, we have time to talk about the draft and what's coming. Free agencies, next
free agency is the next big one.
Yeah, free agency is about like in a month, so we're actually going to take like about a month off, and then we'll go as soon as free agency starts popping. We'll come back.
That week of, like, I think it's the 15th, so the week of the 15th we'll be back on. That's when we'll see shit pop up.
By the way, I want Jackson Dart. By the way,
Darren Mogi is the GM for the Jets. He was the assistant at Denver for 2 seasons.
Ain't he like in an advisory role to find the GM?
No,
No, that's
no. From everything I'm reading right now is that he agreed to be their GM. He's their guy.
Really?
yeah.
Yep.
I didn't even hear that.
Nobody cares about the Jets. They all trash for the Giants about Barkley.
That's what it is, I think.
That's what it is. That's all that's what anybody wants to talk about is they put fucking Barkley in a fucking Philly uniform. All right, so I guess last topic is Eli Manning not getting into the Hall of Fame. Listen, I can see both arguments. Obviously, as a
Only-
diehard, I have listen. I know, I'm a diehard Giants fan, but oh God, I got to be real because I remember like watching Eli play. Eli was always like, I'm just talking about fantasy football purposes. He was always like the last quarterback to go because he never put up like those big like numbers where these guys like like guys that were just lighting it up, consistently. Eli had like really what he had like 7 winning seasons as like a Giants quarterback out of all the season he's played. He got to the playoffs. He had 2 great Super Bowl runs. The first one, to get that first ring, I thought it was really like on the defense. I don't think he even deserved to win the MVP award of the Super Bowl. I think it was Justin Tuck, to be honest, or even Strahan. You got to give it to one of the defensive players. That's who. But I get it. Even like Hurts won the MVP for this Super Bowl, which was stupid. They should have gave a defensive front guy that. But you know how that goes. But
Yeah, of
Eli,
course.
man, like it's tough. You really go back and forth because he's not his brother. He didn't have better stats than like a guy like Philip Rivers. Philip Rivers just lit it up all the time, but Eli was goddamn clutch. And when it mattered, the guy stepped up. So it's really like obviously as a diehard fan, I was like, yo, put him in there, put him in there. But I could honestly see like when people say, oh, he led the league in interceptions one year. I mean, listen, so did Peyton. Peyton led the league his first year, but consistently, like every year, Eli didn't put up those huge numbers every year. He just didn't. You know what I mean? So it's tough. I think he's going to get in, but I don't think he was a first ballot Hall of Famer. And then obviously, like that proved to be the case. What are your guys' thoughts? And be honest about it. Like, try to leave your heart out of it if you can. It's tough. I know.
It's tough. It's tough taking the heart out of it. That's the biggest thing because I even saw things where if you compare Eli's overall numbers to John Elway's, he's better in a lot of stats. All right. And
but football was a different
fire Hall of Fame first ballot.
Yeah. Football was a different game back then, Jules. You can't compare that.
I get it. But even like, I mean, like Eli threw 66 more touchdowns than he did. You know what I mean? Like he had an overall better passing rating than he did. His completion percentage was better. Sure, they had yards, like obviously Elway had the yards and whatnot. But like, dude, like it wasn't like if you look at Elway's career, it wasn't like it was that great. He got embarrassed in the Super Bowl. He won those last 2 with Terrell Davis when they had that amazing offensive line and a great running game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like Elway wasn't shining. I mean, I guess, look, he won MVPs and, Eli didn't for the regular season. But then again, look at the competition that was going around. Like, not that he didn't have a lot of guys that could win the MVP when Elway was playing, but like, yo, man, like you were saying, like, you had Peyton, you had Brady, you had all these other guys that were in the NFL. You had all these superstar running backs during the time that Eli was playing. Like, come on. Like, you had legends like Peterson and Danny Tomlinson and fucking guys like that were playing during that era. Randy Moss and all these fucking great offensive players. How the fuck was he supposed to win an MVP? Especially when you notice now, like the last 7, 8 seasons, most of the MVPs are always fucking a quarterback. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, that's it. It's gone to that point. That wasn't the case fucking when Eli was playing. Eli was playing in his prime, I should say. You know what I mean? Like you were getting guys that were defensive. You were getting all different types of guys that were winning the MVP. And it's a different thing. So like I get the knock that he didn't win the MVP. His overall regular season numbers were not great. Like I said, the only real quarterback. I mean, if you look at some of the list of guys that were first ballot that were quarterbacks, it is the Montanas and Brady and fucking and Peyton and all this bullshit. So all those guys, yeah, all right, fine. Eli wasn't that. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's like, look, he better get it in the next year or two. I don't want to be sitting here 5 years from now having this conversation because then I'll be a little fucking pissed off. You know what I mean? Especially if a Philip fucking Rivers or somebody like that gets in before him.
Ben?
I got a long rant. You guys ready?
I'm ready.
Let's get through all this. And it's full heart with facts. All right. Number one, Eli. Let's look at it because he is kind of like an anomaly, and he's a controversial guy. Should he be first ballot? I don't know exactly what that means. First ballot, like it's either you get in or you don't. And first ballot to me, like you mentioned some guys before, Jules. I see guys like Warren Moon and Dan Fouts that had Steve Young. Like these are first ballot Hall of Famers, and they had way worse stats. And I know a different game, but like, are you kidding me? Like we're playing this game, so there's a couple things. Number one, let me go into statistics. Eli had the Iron Man streak until it was horrifically broken by Ben McAdick. Then you had when he retired, he was seventh all time in passing yards, seventh all time in passing TDs. Okay, two very big stats that people gloss right over. The guy was automatic. Now, fourth quarter comebacks. He had the most. I don't know what that number is off the top of my head, but he had like the most fourth quarter comebacks at one point. He holds the record for the most passing yards, including the playoffs in 2011. He now were interceptions kind of high. Name me a Hall of Fame quarterback that's not super elite that doesn't have high interception numbers. Guys like Brett Favre, huge interception numbers. Guys like Pat Mahomes, guys like Josh Allen right now, they have huge interception numbers. Now, the record, the 1-17, 1-17. I hear you. It's not the best. However, it shows the incompetence of his GMs. He had a Corsi, which was a genius, the last great GM this organization had. He's the guy that drafted Eli. Okay. Then we had Reese. Other than that first draft class that helped win the 2011 Super Bowl, okay, and 2007, other than that first class, if you go through Jerry Reese's year by year drafts, they are horrific. The guy was not aggressive. He was very conservative and missed all over the place. All over the place. He was horrible.
That's our problem.
Coughlin gets fired. Reese is given a bag of money. That's our 2011 run. Then you get Gettleman because Reese is out of there. And then you got Gettleman with, that goes, instead of getting the offensive line, the guy goes and gets Saquon. They kept giving him weapons and Odell and all this. No, what Eli needed was more time in the pocket. The guy never was mobile in his prime. You think he's going to be mobile when he's 35? So, like, I really feel like the Giants screwed him up. Another thing I want to mention, look at his draft class. Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers. Let's look at who these guys played with. We could name a plethora of Hall of Famers that these guys played with. A plethora. Ben Roethlisberger walked into the best situation. He was handing the ball off to Jerome Bettis. James Harrison was a ridiculous on the Troy Polamalu. Hines Ward. Let me keep naming. Ward,
yeah. Yo, Le'Veon Bell filled in the shoes right after.
Dude, let me ask you guys. Who did Eli play with that is a Hall of Famer? Michael Strahan. And that's towards the end of his career. That is it. Justin Tucker's not in the Hall of Fame. Let's go on the offensive side. Who's Eli's best weapon? He had a committee of running backs. They were...
he had Tiki for the first couple of seasons.
Tiki's not a Hall of Famer last time I checked.
No.
Last time I checked, Tiki is not in the Hall of Fame. And then you had, guys like Amani Toomer, good player, not Hall of Fame.
He's our best wide receiver ever, though.
Plaxico Burress shot himself out of town, literally, when it was our best team in 08.
But shouldn't Eli Manning stepped up in that 08 if Plaxico did go down? Why didn't he step up?
It messed up their whole scheme and stuff like that. It messed up. And it was Philly, that Jeff Garcia, that kind of ended us. So, again, here's the best statistic. And people wash over it. They're like, oh, if he didn't win the 2 Super Bowls, what are we just going to fucking act like it didn't exist? Oh, my God. It's not just the Super Bowl. It's the Super Bowl run. The guy went on the road. People counted him out. Oh, Eli, stupid face and stuff like that. The guy was ice cold. This dude would go into a Tampa Bay defense that was super fast, kick their ass. Yeah. Then they went into Green Bay. No, I'm sorry.
Dallas.
Dallas. Like 15 wins that year.
And Dallas had like 11 or 12 Pro Bowlers that year, too.
So beat the shit out of them. That wasn't even a game. Then
Wow.
the Favre's,
It was close.
It was close. It was close.
They had a chance to win, Dallas.
and to stop the beast of New England Patriots. That 18-0 team will never be mentioned again.
That was crazy.
David Tyree. Eli made a heck of a throw, and that was the touchdown. Down in the fourth quarter, damn right you get the MVP. I'm sorry, Justin Tuck, take a back seat. You give Eli the MVP. He's the one that marched them down the field in the fourth quarter against Rodney Harrison, Junior Seau, Teddy Bruschi, whatever that defense was, Belichick's defense. Then to do it 4 years later is
show that it wasn't a fluke.
Not a fluke. Yeah. It wasn't a fluke. And what did he do it against? He beat the crap out of Atlanta. Do you remember Roddy White, Julio Jones?
Yeah, they were nasty.
What that team was? We destroyed them at home. Then went to Green Bay, beat Aaron Rodgers. Oh, I love kicking his ass. Yep. Then you go into San Francisco, which is Eli's
crazy. That was the best game.
That was one of the best NFC Championship games I've ever watched.
He got sacked.
That was a fucking war right there.
6 times. Was getting kicked, and he was just hitting Manningham and Cruz and all that, only to go back to play New England down in the fourth quarter and make a wonderful throw where only Manningham could get it. So this guy went and did it twice. He has been mistreated and misrepresented his entire career. He's a doofus. He's this, he's that. The guy is perfect. He played in the worst media market in the country, possibly in the world. And then to play at MetLife. He didn't play in sunny San Diego with Philip Rivers. He didn't play with Drew Brees. They're going to give him first ballot in the dome. The guy stepped foot outside and he struggled. You know what I mean? Like Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning wasn't very good outside of a dome. He wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he won with Denver, but it was Brock Osweiler was the quarterback most of that year. And it was the defense. So to me, I hope I galvanized you guys and convinced you that Eli did first ballot. He's a first ballot in every facet of the word.
He might have changed me.
Game. He was the man of the year. He was a great teammate. He weathered the bullshit that the Giants, the coaches that they hired from Shermer to Gettleman to McAdoo, everybody was against this guy, and he handled everything with class. And he was perfect. He's a perfect representation of the game. I blame Deion Sanders for putting this shit in the voters' heads. They changed the voting. I don't know if you heard that. They used to go from 15 to 10 to 5. Now they went from 15 to 10 to 7. And for you to get into the class, you had to get 80% of the vote. And they weren't doing first ballot guys like Marshawn Lynch didn't get in. He didn't make top 10, Eli. And then on top of all that, he's got, look at the class. You're telling me Eric Allen is better than Eli Manning? You're telling me Jared Allen, good player. Even Antonio Gates, who I think is the best one out of the 4, sharp. The worst sharp. He was good, Sterling, but there's a reason these guys have been on the ballot for 18 years. Eli should have been in. And it's only going to get harder now. Get ready, Jules, because we're going to wait. Next year's Drew Brees. Are they going to let 2 quarterbacks in? They usually do it like that. The year after that, it's going to be Rivers and Roethlisberger. The year after that, it's going to be...
but hold up. You got to slow. You can't just fucking throw Rivers in over Eli. You just can't. I'm sorry.
I'm saying he's going to be up for it.
But see, here's the thing, right? Like, and
I put Eli over everybody.
This actually plays into the whole MVP discussion, right? Because everyone this year all of a sudden wanted to just highlight the stats of Lamar Jackson. But when Lamar won last year, his stats were fucking not even close to like Dak Prescott and a few other guys. Even Josh Allen had better stats than fucking he did last season. So now Lamar comes out and has this amazing offensive fucking season, and everybody's expecting him to win the MVP. You see, that's not what it's about. And it's kind of the same here with the Hall of Fame. You know, stats are one thing, and they're important for making the Hall, winning the MVP, but they're not everything, right? You know what I'm trying to say? Like if anything, there's a reason why they have the Offensive Player of the Year award, right? That went to Saquon Barkley. If Lamar was had that kind of an offensive season, why didn't he at least win that? You know, instead they wanted to give it to the running back that ran for 2,000 yards and was playing in the Super Bowl. But no one says a fucking word about that. Instead, they're just trying to fucking seem as if this MVP
it was kind of
robbed.
They gave Lamar first team All Pro,
right?
When
that was the biggest argument. So that
usually the MVP gets that.
Correct. Usually,
usually
they are that on that team. first ball and win the MVP. It's rare that they don't do that.
It's rare.
They have to vote for the same AP votes for that. But see, that's where I'm trying to say. Like, I bring up this argument all the time, and I say that if you wanted to just be whoever has the best stats for that season, and that's your MVP, then that's it. You got the fucking way of doing it. There's nothing else that matters, and that's the end of discussion. But that's not the case, because a most valuable player, what it actually means is that if this team doesn't have this player, they are not even close to the team that they currently are. Listen, that guy Huntley could have come in a couple of times throughout. Well, I forget who the backup is now. I don't think it's Huntley any longer. But their backup could have come in, handed the fucking ball off, let that defense, especially the way that Ravens defense was playing down the stretch of the season, and they could have played the game safe. They may not have blown anybody out. They might not have put up 45 points, but I could see them winning a few games down the stretch with a backup quarterback and not Lamar in there. You think Josh Allen out of Buffalo? Bro, they're not winning a fucking game. And that's the difference, right? So, people got to make up their mind. Do you want the MVP to be the best statistical guy? Then Dak Prescott should have won last year. Okay? Yeah, but no one wants to bring that up, all right? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, no.
But you're bringing this up. I want to try to be clear on this. I say Eli's body of work. It's statistics, because people say he doesn't have statistics. They only look at the record and they look at his interceptions. No, he's got the stats. He's got the championships. What else do you want from the fucking guy? He should be in. I was ready to go to Canton in August this summer, and I'm like, are you kidding me? When I found out, I almost shed a tear. Are you kidding? Like, this has done everything to the right way. He did it the right way. Was it pretty? No, but the league, it wasn't made for him. He didn't play with anybody. Who the hell did he play with? Where he had a good line. They got old. They never.
They had some good defenses. They had some good defense.
We had some good players, though. We had Nix, we had Cruz, we had Manningham. Yeah, we had Plaxico, we had Toomer.
Oh, wait,
Shockey.
Wait a second. All those players that you mentioned, Trainer, what did they do when they left Eli?
They didn't do shit. They didn't do shit.
Maybe it was Eli that made them. Maybe.
Yeah. These guys were when Nix left and Cruz left, they both were hurt. They both left hurt. So I really can't blame them for not doing much. They were hurt and they were going. There was nowhere for them to go. Manningham, I don't know what happened to him, But Plaxico shot himself. He shot the whole Giant season up in the air.
Shockey was great. He was throwing his hands up at a young Eli, you're not throwing me the ball. He got hurt. They won the first championship with Kevin Boss out of nowhere. The second championship, our tight end was Jake Ballard. Yo, this guy turned nobodies relevant. He made I give Coughlin, don't get me started. Coughlin's first ballot Hall of Fame.
Oh, no doubt.
Started with that one either. They should go together. But for this,
that'd be nice.
He was in his hometown in New Orleans. The class was horrible.
This class was a joke, bro.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm blaming Deion Sanders for getting in their heads by saying we should have an extra room for the real guys. He's talking about Eli. And it's why is Eli got to be so controversial? The guy did everything, in my opinion. Everything. The numbers are there. The championships are there. Oh, are we going to let Trent Dilfer in? Nobody said that. No, Trent Dilfer should never sniff the Hall of Fame. But, it wasn't his defense. Do you know, another quick note, we were dead last in rushing in that 2011 year. Dead last in rushing. And somehow we ended up winning the championship.
It was because of Eli. Ben, it was obviously because of Eli. There's no doubt about that. Run was the most amazing run I ever seen. I remember we went in at 9-7, right? We should be 8-8 because Victor Cruz apparently gave himself up. We should have never sniffed the playoffs that year. But once you let Eli in, then all of a sudden it was just game on. They knew, him and Tom Coughlin knew what the fuck they were doing, and they both step up. Of course, I got to give them a bunch of credit. You might have turned me, to be honest with you.
That's where I was going.
I respect your argument, but you know what I mean? But I can see both sides of the ball, why Eli is so controversial. I can really see it because you look up you put everything together, man. It was just even the first Super Bowl, remember Ashanti Samuel Jr., he had to pick, right? And he dropped it. Remember, leading up to that playoff run, the newspapers, everybody wanted Eli and Coughlin out. They were dogging these fucking two guys. And if Ashanti Samuel picked that off, I don't know what would have happened the next year, to be honest with you. I don't know if they'd be back. It was that bad.
Let me tell you this. If you're Dan Marino, who everybody's like, yo, like all-time great.
Yeah, he was ridiculous.
Okay.
I mean, ridiculous. Though.
Like, really ridiculous. Like,
if you
just ridiculous. He was in fucking Ace Ventura, man.
Like he might have thrown for 100,000 yards if he played in this day and age. Right?
Yeah, it was crazy.
If you would have, let me just ask a quick question. If you would have asked Dan Marino, would he trade careers with Eli Manning? What do you guys think he would say?
Oof.
That's
honestly, I feel like a question like this was asked of him. And I don't remember his response. It wasn't like Eli directly, but it was more so along the lines of like, because don't forget, he had all those records before these guys were able to fucking play extra games and, fucking have all these rules changed for the quarterback. So they all started breaking his records. I think it was something along the lines of like, if he never had a record, would he trade that for a Super Bowl or something along those lines? And I believe he said yes, but you know what I mean? I get it. I get where you're going with that. I mean, look, who would have thought that he would have been there in his fucking second year as a pro and in the Super Bowl and never made it back? You know what I'm trying to say? Like that's insane, right there.
You know what's funny about the Giants? You know what's funny about the Giants? For us, we like all the Super Bowls we won. We've never really had the best quarterback.
No,
we had like Phil Simms, we had Hostetler, we had Eli. That's why everybody's like, everybody's sweating like the next best quarterback. We want the best quarterback. We don't need the best quarterback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
don't give a shit. I understand they're trying to hype him up, but you could say what you want. Did he play a good Super Bowl? He absolutely did. But Jalen Hurts is not a top 5 quarterback. I'm sorry. He's just not. He's not. He's fucking not. People
see what a team does, though?
Yeah, they're honestly trying to hype him and say he might be 3. Like, that's an insult to Joe Burrow. That's a fucking insult to fucking like, and when you're talking about these quarterbacks, like it's like Josh Lamar and then maybe Hurts. And it's like, come on, dude, stop. Mahomes is still ahead of him. Joe Burrow's still a fucking ahead of him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a little ridiculous with that. I mean, look, he played a great game. I'll give it to him. He showed up in the Super Bowl. They game planned to shut down Barkley, and they did so, and Jalen Hurts beat them. So I'll credit where credit's due, and they beat him in a way. But like I said, that whole Chiefs team just seemed off. It was almost as if they really, honest to God, like, yo, and I put on my tinfoil hat all the time with this. It literally looked like this team came in with the expecting to win, but like in a way where they were like, well, we're gonna rely on the refs. The refs are gonna help us out like they did all year, and we're gonna win this fucking game.
You're crazy.
And when that shit didn't happen, and also they started getting their asses kicked, they didn't know how to recover.
You know how
That's what it looked like to me.
You know who I blame? The Kansas City. I kind of blame Spags for it, to be honest with you. He was so worried about Barkley from the beginning of the game. He had the 3-4 defense, and he had everybody up on the fucking box. Of course, guys like fucking Goldart and fucking AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, they're going to be wide open. They were wide open. If Hurts can't fucking get the pass to one of these guys, then he's a fucking bum. He had all the time in the world, and he had guys wide open. Of course, you're going to win that game. I mean, it was nothing.
Coming off the Washington NFC Championship game, they scored like 7 rushing touchdowns. They did 4 of them with the tush push. Like,
I hate that shit.
I don't blame Spags for like stacking the box, stopping the run, and we got a shot. But Kansas City defense, I think, was a little overrated this year. Best roster. Their MVP honestly wasn't on the field. It's their GM. Harry Roseman is really good. I've been saying it for a long time. The guy is really, really good.
Yeah, they're lucky to have him, man.
Yeah, I mean,
he makes all the right moves.
They also steal players, so it is what it is.
Yeah, they steal players from
fucking poachers,
us, and then they draft
poachers.
Well. They draft so well,
and then they go and destroy their city after winning a Super Bowl. Like, what a bunch of fucking losers! That fan base is a bunch of fucking losers.
They really
are.
Yep.
They get a guy that loses his job from working with the DEI, and fucking they blow that whole thing up. Like it's just. Like that whole fan base, bro. Like I fucking like there might be a good 20% of it, but the rest of it, the 80%, is just trash, bro.
Oh,
it's just horrible. It's like the worst fan base in football. And like, yeah, that's why I think I was like, I couldn't believe the NFL literally didn't want to give it to Golden Boy fucking Pat Mahomes in a 3-peat. Instead, they decided to pull the plug to try to quote unquote protect the brand, and they put out one of the worst fucking Super Bowls we've watched in a decade. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Like, this is just a joke. And that's why I said what I just said, man. I'm telling you, it looked as if these players were expecting different calls. They were expecting to get away with shit. And when all of a sudden they didn't, they were like caught with their tail between their legs. They didn't know what to do. And they were like a deer in the headlight and frozen. Like, oh shit, we got to play a real game? What are we doing? And they got fucked up.
Can we do some mix it up like potpourri? Do we think Travis Kelce retires?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
He looks slow. He looked like he looks
he
slow.
doesn't look the same. He looked he doesn't, but I could see him come back for one more. Possibly. It depends. It depends on where his head is at. You know, if he's ready to just go live the life like his brother is and start doing commercials and going to Swift concerts and marrying her and doing whatever the fuck he wants to do, then he's gone. He's gone. You know, he's got 3 rings. Like, what does he fucking really need to come back for?
Kelsey definitely regrets leaving. He says it all the time. He was like, I wish.
Right. You have that. And then I can also see him saying, like, yo, like him and Pat being like, yo, we can't go out like that. You know what I mean? And he's that kind of guy and has that kind of ego that, like, yo, you really want your Super Bowl to be this, where you didn't have 0 catches, 0 yards. You didn't do jack shit in the Super Bowl after you were talking shit on your podcast that you would play teams anywhere in a fucking Walmart parking lot. And then that's how you show up to the Super Bowl. He didn't really even do that much against the fucking Bills either. So it's like, bro, your last 2 games, you were whack, dude. That's how you want to go out?
D-Hop retired.
Maybe, but I'm just saying. I think he comes back for one more, especially if it's like one of those one more where he could fake an injury or 2 here and there and not have to play the whole fucking season. He just gets going by like October, November, and then starts clicking for the playoffs. I can see some shit like that.
What'd you guys think of the halftime show?
It was a halftime show.
I actually didn't watch it. I switched over I started watching Dexter. I'm like, I ain't watching this fucking guy. Ain't he like friends with like a Kardashian or some shit? I'm like, I don't need to watch this. If it was like somebody like Prince had like the best halftime show like ever. And then if like was somebody else, like if Dre and Snoop and fucking Eminem came out again, that was pretty fucking dope. But this guy, like, who knows this fucking guy? Nobody knows this fucking loser.
Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson.
Yeah, pull her titties out. Like, yeah, you want to see some titties? I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I like Kendrick Lamar. I follow him, but I think he's not for the Super Bowl. Like, especially even the set list that he did, he's not. I feel like Super Bowl needs something for casual. They broke a record. Average 126 million people that were watching it. And like, it was a little too, like, you know, it's subliminal to what beef he's got with Drake and stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of people don't know it. So it's like Jay-Z's the one that's picking all this stuff, and it's all rap, it's all hip hop. And I love rap, but I just feel for the Super Bowl, you're going to have to go something a little bit more popular. Taylor Swift.
Or at least one of his popular songs. He didn't even play like a song that like people that are a casual listener would know.
With the song of the moment, which is that Not Like Us, and it's a diss song against Drake. So it's like
right, but Vin, what I'm trying to say is midstream America that has no fucking idea who Kendrick Lamar is. They might have heard his most popular song on the radio a couple of times. And you don't even play that. Like sometimes you gotta at least play that just so people are like, oh shit, okay, yeah, I know who this dude is. And then they could play into it. You know, he didn't even do that. Like, that killed his whole performance.
Yeah, no, 9 of his 11 songs were from his last album, and the last album just dropped, like, literally, like, 6 weeks ago. So it's like music that he did. You know, and I like him. I'm a big fan, and I like his music, but I just feel it wasn't good for the Super Bowl. You know, the Super Bowl needs something more. Like, Usher last year killed it because that guy left the #1 hits off, you know, that he everybody knows his music. He's transcended. You know what I mean? Where
that's shit that's mainstream. You need to at least drop a mainstream song,
correct?
So that the regular listeners that aren't fans can understand. Oh shit, yeah, I heard that one before. Oh yeah, my kids listen to that. And then all of a sudden they get into it. You know what I mean?
You literally have grandmothers watching the Super Bowl. Right. Like it's like they need to, like Jay-Z needs to like take a look at and be like, what am I gonna do about Super Bowl? Like I need to put somebody up there that everybody knows. You know what I mean?
They should have put the Beach Boys. Are
they all still alive?
I don't know. It would have been better than that shit. You know? Yeah, even Milli Vanilli. It's a Milli Vanilli.
Yeah, I would rather see Milli Vanilli, I think, with them lip singing and shit.
Or Crisscross. They have their shirts and shit, the jerseys backwards. That would have been dope.
One of the dudes from Crisscross died.
Yeah, one of the guys he passed.
What?
Early, yeah.
Chris or Cross?
2 years ago. Yeah.
Which
it was
one
tragic. It's pretty
Oh,
fucked up.
fuck.
It's a sad story overall and shit.
Really?
Well, it's a
Oh.
lot. It's like fucked up.
Oh,
We'll save
yeah,
that for the Mix It Up
yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
Like and
Maybe after
subscribe.
we sign off on this fucking party, tell me about that. That's sad. I didn't know that.
He after all that success, and don't forget they were young as fuck. So
Yeah, they
like
were
they
like
had all the
fucking 10.
success they had all the success as like
They
teenagers,
came
like
out
13, 14 and shit.
teenagers and they flopped. They weren't cute,
Yeah.
or they were like 16, and everyone was like, "Nah,
Yeah.
working."
Yeah. Like
Nah.
once they got like older teen, it wasn't as funny anymore. And
Dude, I remember
they
I was
didn't
like,
have the skills. He was messing with drugs too much. It was a whole big thing.
I remember I was like
Yeah.
19. I was trying to put on my clothes backwards. I couldn't figure it out. I didn't know how to do it. Like, it was crazy. Trying to walk up the block with my fucking Tim's fucking backwards.
You're like, "Oh, can you do the buttons on the back?"
Yeah, I was like, how do I fucking do this shit? Had my Oakland A's jersey on backwards.
Oh man,
That was ridiculous. That was a style back. People were walking out their house wearing clothes backwards. That was crazy.
It was like for a summer.
We had the best age. Like growing up, we had the best age of like hip hop. Like we had 90s hip hop. That was just fucking ridiculous, man. This shit nowadays, this shit is all whack to me.
music. I think all music is too fast. It comes out, everybody's on to the next thing, the streaming and all that. I feel like when we have copies of stuff, like for like a Nas album will come out like 4 years later. You know what I mean?
Chronic or Gin and Juice.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
all of it. You would wait for it.
It's fucking best. DMX, like it was crazy back in the day, man.
Let me tell you guys, I finally liked one thing. I kind of like. I still think he needs to shut up. Malik Neighbors said. Anthony Stafford stuff where he's like,
this is a major announcement. Hold on.
Holy shit, breaking news.
I like a bridge quarterback and a rookie. Why not? I kind of like
smart. He's smart.
I kind of like what he said there, but I don't.
Telling you don't give the kid enough credit, bro.
No,
I'm saying.
I like the kid to shut the hell up. That's what I like.
You see that catch and flag football he had? He was going over everybody.
You're bringing this crap up.
Woo, nasty.
In his face with his stupid chain and his stupid glasses. And he's out. I'm like, oh, go ahead. Tear your ACL, you jerk off. I can't stand this guy hopping around like a grasshopper.
Hey, but Vin, that's my point with Shedeur Sanders. He is that worse. You understand? Because I think Malik Neighbors, talent-wise, is more talented. Okay, so at least you could deal with some of the antics if you're that fucking talented, right? But if you're going to be the Shedeur Sanders, who's, to me, I'm sorry, he's an average quarterback coming out of college. He's an average fucking quarterback. Ain't nothing bigger than that. I don't give a fuck. Like I said, if his last name was not Sanders, there would be no discussion of this dude going in the top 5. Zero. I don't give a fuck about this completion percentage nonsense because that's the only thing people fucking come back at me with. And it drives me nuts because if you look at like I said earlier in this pod, if you look at the rest of that list, it is fucking garbage.
Jules,
okay?
Giants had Sanders. They had Sanders fucking like drafted in the 2nd or 3rd round last year.
Last year.
All of a sudden this year is just going to be number 1 overall pick. Get the fuck out of here.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't get it. Like I'm hoping someone buys into the hype and they take Sanders early. I am praying. But then when you get this dude already putting up roadblocks, I'm not gonna go to Cleveland. I don't feel like I'm going to the Jets. Motherfucker, be happy that you got taken. Like I can't, bro. Like I'm telling you, Vin, he's got his own podcast. Him and Travis Hunter.
I don't like any of it. I don't like any of it.
All right, he was the biggest.
I like the guys at that podcast.
But listen, if you're a professional athlete coming out of college and you're trying to get drafted into the NFL, you shouldn't be fucking hosting a fucking podcast.
You guys
are the fucking Super Bowl. You got a spot in the Super Bowl as one of these commentators to host your podcast.
I'm pro podcast
here, bro. This kid is nothing. He's living off the curtails of his dad, bro. Like his dad followed him from high school to Jackson to fucking Colorado, bro.
It's a long trip.
Kidding me? Right. Anyone else, this is a major red flag. And these fucking dudes are eating it up like Sanders is fucking the next Joe Burrow or some shit. And it's not even close, man. It's disgusting. I am praying hard that somehow, some way, he gets taken somewhere early in that draft. And we don't fucking do it. Bro, I'm telling you right now, if he can go there, if he could go to that number 1 spot, whether it's the Titans or someone trading up, and Cam Ward ends up in Cleveland, we can fucking get Abdul Carter and call it a fucking day. A day. The only thing that fucks that up is if someone trades up to the 1 spot, tapes Cam Ward, and because Sanders is like, I'm not playing in Cleveland, they grab Carter. We're stuck with Sanders at 3. That's my fucking nightmare.
Cleveland might take Carter because Myles Garrett might get traded, right?
Right, with Garrett leaving, like, you know what, I could see that too. But you know what? If they're gonna be smart, and especially if someone trades up and ends up taking Sander 1, you almost got to take Cam Ward there with no quarterback at Cleveland with 2. I mean,
I got 2 topics. One that's just coming to me. One, what do you guys think about 5th-year options? Evan Neal, Thibodeau. Do we grab it or do we not?
Thibodeau, you got to grab.
Thibodeau's was already picked up.
Oh, they already did Thibodeau?
Yeah, they picked his up like a week and a half ago. So like
Evan Neal,
in between our little layover, they picked up his 5th year.
Peace, Evan Neal. You gotta go, man.
I agree.
Somebody will make him a guard, and then he'll be a stud. He'll be an all-pro.
We never even tried the guy at guard. We never even.
I don't understand what you see other teams do that and have success. Like Mikal Becton. He played this past Sunday, and he moved from tackle to guard, and the dude's on one of the best offensive lines in the league. Why don't we try it? If the guy sucks at it, okay, we know he's not that good. We can move on. Like, what's the
That's why we're terrible. That's why we're fucking terrible.
Yeah, you're right, because we don't do things like that. We don't
try
as much as like the rest of the league does. Like, this league has always been known as a copycat league.
Yeah.
So so as soon as you start, like, look at it, like, you could just take the one play in the tush push. Everyone's starting to develop their own version of it, especially guys that have bigger quarterbacks, right? Like, it's just a thing.
The NFL needs to that play out. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
How can you though? How can you?
You can't.
There's nothing illegal about it. There's nothing illegal.
You can't have guys push you in the back. That's where you got to take away.
That they could probably change. That's
where you got to take away.
If you want a quarterback sneak, cannot be pushed.
Right. If you want a quarterback sneak it, fine. But you can't just go run up and just push the guy. That's crazy.
Right. Where you got like a dude like Saquon who's squatting 600 pounds behind you, pushing with an offensive line in front. Come on. Like, come on, yo. That's ridiculous.
Unfair. All right, my last thing. Now, I'm one to think, just because I think that I don't really have many answers for the Giants. I think they put themselves in a really poor position with everything. So being desperate, it has crossed my mind. I didn't hear it on the radio. This is my own thinking. You guys are going to laugh at me at first, but give it some thought.
I'm already laughing.
I know. Dude, I'm like, what, Trevor Lawrence?
Maybe the Giants need to consider trading Dexter Lawrence. Get a lot of picks and build.
Can I go, Jules, first?
Wait.
Yeah, please. Because I still want to digest what I just heard.
Now, I'm not all in on this. It's just a thought that came in my head. And I'm like, Khalil Mack, they did it back with, what was it? Who was he with? The Raiders? And then he went to the Yeah, so like, we would get a lot of picks. Like, I'm talking about the deal has to be right. The guy's in his prime. He's a fucking beast. Man. You know, has been in a poor situation. He's healthy. You know, I know he season ender this year, but I don't think it was real. And he's just a good locker room dude, could possibly become a leader. Like, if there's a team that really wants him, you know, like, pony up. Give us picks. I forget what Matt got, but
I'm ready.
Maybe we parlay that into our rebuild. Like, we have up our best player to get our rebuild. Just a thought. What do you guys think?
I'm ready. 2 things.
Go ahead, Trent.
2 things with that. First off, we've been getting killed just letting great players go for nothing. Okay, so for Dexter to actually be traded, okay. Listen, I kind of get, like, obviously you want to trade the guy, just not let him fucking walk away for fucking nothing.
No, we're gonna have to get a boatload.
Yeah, I get that, but I'm saying, like, we're on a track record now where we just let everybody go. It's Leo, it's Love, it's Barkley, and they all have success. Will Hernandez, for God's sakes, we let Eric Flowers go, and he becomes a guard. And he's good for like 3 years. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, all right, so say we do trade Deck for, like, you know, 4 picks or whatever the case may be. I don't trust this fucking.
I agree.
This fucking regime to make the correct draft picks. So it's like, if you fail at 2 out of the 4 draft picks, you're a loss. You're already a loss. You have to hit all 4 to trade an all-pro Dexter Lawrence that just is a beast in the middle. You just can't let him go. And what does that say about the rest of the defense, letting that fucking stud go? I don't know. I understand you want to continue to build, but you're not going to build the right way. Right. Keep letting these guys go. You just
but what is it on defense?
You need something that's there. He's paid for. He's signed. You keep him. Dude, what are you crazy? You're going to literally let your next best player go? So you let Saquon, who everyone was saying was our best player on our team, and now you're going to let fucking Dexter Lawrence in the following season, who's arguably the best player on our team, go?
Joe get
Fucking
killed.
shot, dude.
Joe would
Yeah.
get killed.
Because
No way.
he takes up a lot of our cap.
So what?
Thinking, why did the Raiders do with Khalil Mack? And it worked for them when they made that deal.
Work for what? They haven't done shit
They haven't
in
done
years.
shit, Ben.
Yeah, where the Raiders been? It's not like they went to the Super Bowl doing some nonsense like that. You know what I mean?
I don't know if
And that was part of because Khalil Mack, if I'm not mistaken, started out in LA in the Chargers. And
They had to draft
he
him.
signed with the Raiders for big money. So he was a big free agent signing, and then they got draft picks to let him go.
Well,
that's completely different. You
made
a mistake by thinking that you were that ready by bringing in that defensive piece that was what was missing from your team, and you thought you were going to go for it. When all that backfired, now you just got this fat contract sitting on your roster. We're talking about a player that was drafted from the Giants, been a Giant, always a Giant, and you paid him. That's it. That's the cornerstone of your defense. You need these kind of guys. We've always won with big guys up front. Okay, that's how we've won all these championships, right? The 4 that we have. You can't. No. It's building that defense around him like we're currently doing. So you got to pay your one defensive guy and you got to pay your one fucking quarterback. That's how this league is set up. All right. And that's where we're in position to do currently. So now, like I said, and look, that supports my whole thing where I'm like, fuck these quarterbacks, unless it's Cam Ward sitting there at 3. All right. You either trade back or you take an Abdul Carter. Could you imagine what that dude will be like on that fucking team? Bro, did you guys now watch that game, that semifinal game against Notre Dame? He wasn't even 100%, and they were fucking still afraid of him, bro. Like, he was playing, he was doing things I didn't even see him do all year. And he was just all over the field. His level of knowledge of football is insane. Crazy. Like, this kid could see shit develop before it even happens.
You know why I would want him on the Giants? Because consistently, the Giants, every time we won Super Bowls, we always won on defense.
I love the pass.
Always build defense. And you know what? Get the pass rushers here. Get this fucking guy here. You know, let him.
Listen, and with the right defensive coordinator, we mixed in. We had Tuck, Strahan, and Osi on that same front. And they're not all fucking guys in the middle. And we figured out ways to mix and match where we had all them out on the field at the same time. Could you imagine Thibodeau with Burns and fucking Carter running around? Dude, that's a hard, and then you got Dexter in the middle. Like, that's a hard front to fuck with, especially on like a.
That's Philly. That's Philly, Jules. If you get any decent kind of fucking offense going, you have that front that could destroy teams. That could destroy guys like Pat Mahomes.
3rd and 7, you got all 4 of those guys coming at you without a regular blitz. What, bro? You know what kind of fucking? That's like going back to the old school shit. That's won us championships. That's why I keep fucking saying. Bring in a Jameson Winston. Bring in Aaron Rodgers. Bring in fucking Kirk Cousins if you get him on a cheap. You know, bring in one of them dudes and fucking let's get a guy that's going to be this dude at number 3.
Go Carter. They might end up with Travis Hunter.
I could live with Hunter.
I'll take him.
I don't want him. I
could live with Hunter.
Yeah,
listen,
me too.
What's his name? Tex McMillan, I believe, is the kid out of Arizona. That's supposed to be arguably the number 1 wide receiver coming out. Bro, he fucking shut him down when he was on him in this year when they played each other. Arizona and Colorado played, and he did pretty good against them. I mean, so like, you know, the problem here is what I'm hearing that's going on right now with Travis Hunter. That's turning me off a little bit. Yes, I understand that he almost looked at like Deion's as being like this sort of father figure type thing, and he's kind of gravitated to everything that he said, and he realizes that Deion Sanders has looked out for him like he's looked out for his kids, right? And I get all that. It's a nice story. But he's also starting to kind of get into that ego with it, too. And he realizes that if he does stay as a wide receiver, he'll make more money in the NFL than he would as a corner. And that's starting to play into his decision-making. It's starting to play into how he wants the NFL to see him. And I don't know if that's a red flag or not. He doesn't really cut across as one of these guys that like have that kind of attitude. But it's a factor. It's there. I think he has his own podcast too. It's like, oh, what are these fucking guys doing, man? Like, you have podcasts and you ain't even in the league yet, bro. Like, what? Like, I get it. Maybe it was cool. You were fucking around in college and shit, but it's like, yo, Shador had a fucking setup at the Super Bowl, bro.
That's crazy.
Come on, man. Like, I want no part. And then, like, when the Jets were talking about getting in the hunt, it's still a fucking New York team. You also have a team that hasn't been to a Super Bowl since 1969. And you're already dissing them too? Because I don't like the way they develop quarterbacks. Oh, So if you need to go to a team that's known for developing quarterbacks, and I'm not saying the Giants do or don't, we're not going to go there. But the point is that you want to go to a team that needs to develop you. Clearly, you ain't ready. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, and if you ain't ready, I'm not taking you at motherfucking 3. I just don't want to.
I like podcasts. I got to be honest. Like, I don't know if speaking out of tune, but I like guys that do podcasts. I like Mika Parsons. Yeah, like and subscribe to the BBLYG podcast. I like Mika Parsons. Mika Parsons came out and said the Giants lied to him.
But you know what's funny? You know what's funny though with Mika Parsons is if when you talk to Cowboy fans, they're kind of 50-50 on it. Some of them like it and some of them fucking hate it. You know what I'm trying to say? And it's like, yo, they're kind of tired of that shit because you're allowed to speak as freely as you want when you're on these things. Yeah. And it kind of diminishes the brand a little. It hurts.
That was his issue, right?
Yeah.
That's one of his things coming out of college.
That's a big issue. And then that was, his character was always in question. But then
that's what it comes down to. Yeah.
Right. But you know what? He's not bad on there. But you know what? If he was a Giant and he was doing that, I don't know if I would be okay with it, to be honest with you.
Nah, he said
the fact that he's a Cowboy and he says all these things, I'm like, I don't give a shit.
You know he said some sideways things. He talks about how he dogs the Giants all the time. Talks about how they got rid of Saquon, good for Saquon. He wants to go to Philly with Saquon. I'm a Cowboy fan, and I hear Mika Parsons saying stuff like that. I'm gonna be pissed off. Like, no, I don't. I want nothing to do with that. And if Thibodeau, I didn't even like that Thibodeau opened his mouth and went crazy on Dez Bryant. Like, Thibodeau, what have you done up? You know, like you've done. You talked so much. I don't know if you guys saw it. The Dez Bryant Thibodeau bat, and it's like, yo, shut up. You know what I mean? Like you've done nothing. Oh, I ride for the Giants. Yeah. You think you're cool. I didn't like it.
It's Twitter beef. A lot of people are like that on Twitter. Not me though. Not Chad Powers. You don't get into any fights.
Never, ever. ever.
Not one. But that's what it comes down to. It's just like that little beef. They go back and forth when somebody has a comment they don't like. It just goes back and forth and then it ends. You know what I mean? But yeah, I get why you don't like why a lot of people don't like it. But listen, that's who they are as people. But that's goes back to Jules with the character situation with these guys. If you don't like their character and it's a red flag, then you better be careful about drafting them. Joe Shane better get it right. I tell you, he better get it right because he's on the hot seat, boy. Him, Mara, the whole fucking organization's on the hot seat.
Already. He should have been fired already.
I believe that too. He should have been fired too. He should have been gone.
I really don't know how they got an extra year out of this. I really don't. And that's another thing too, where it's like
they might get fired.
You go out and you draft one of these quarterbacks.
It's season, yeah.
You're supposed to be here to develop them. And now you're just gonna leave this guy in a 1 year, one and done type system if he doesn't succeed. Like, yo, that's just too much pressure, especially I don't give a fuck. The only stat that's good on Shador is this stupid fucking career completion percentage thing. All right. And I think that's even incorrect because the list that they keep putting up doesn't seem right because I called out where it was like fucking another dude had a fucking higher one, but I don't know where they're coming up with this. Maybe it's amount of games played or something. I don't know. But again, like I said, when you look at that list, Joe Burrow's 12th and every other quarterback in front of him, you will not recognize their name. You might, there's one or two you might recognize, but they sucked in the NFL. You know what I mean? Like, they sucked. They weren't even good. There's not one fucking Pro Bowler, Super Bowl winner, fucking anything that had a career. Because you know why, too, part of it is a lot of these guys played their sophomore year, their junior year, their senior year, and they got better as they got older in college. Where Shador came in, they're not counting his fucking Jackson State stats. They're only counting his 2 years in fucking Colorado. So he's already a junior and a senior at that point, and they're just highlighting that. And that's where he had his completion percentage. So it's like, first of all, there's so many arguments that, like, your dad had fucking, the offensive coordinator in his fucking back pocket. They could call plays that they know you can execute. You know what? If you have a game where you're, dumping off and throwing like 10-yard passes and you're all of a sudden 17 for fucking 20, you're having a great game statistically. But that doesn't mean fucking you really light it up or you're this kind of fucking star quarterback. I don't know, man. Like I said, April is going to be fun. Like I hope, and I've been saying this, that we come back on in a month and we hear that the Giants went out and got one of these veteran free agent quarterbacks. That's my hope. I hope that by the time we come back on the next pod in like a few weeks and we talk about this and we come on, we say, look, the Giants signed so-and-so. They got this guy at least. Now we don't have to feel that fucking pressure anymore of fucking having to take someone at 3. It's going to suck though, because man, I'll tell you this much. As much as you guys have all this fucking animosity towards fucking Shane and everything else, if Sanders is sitting at 3 and the Giants don't trade back, but Abdul Carter's there or something, and we take him instead. And it just like the dude doesn't have 10 sacks in the season, forget it. The Giants win 4 or 5 games, bro, you're never gonna hear the end of it. You know what I mean? So
I don't think we're gonna hear the end of it anyway.
I think they're in a lose-lose
They have a rough schedule.
Right.
We're gonna hear it no matter what.
And you know what, Mike? I'm glad you pointed that out. Everybody keeps questioning why did they come back? Why did they come back? Why did they come back? Do you really want a new coach, a new regime to have to come in with this kind of stain on the franchise currently, knowing that you're going into a difficult scheduled year?
Sitting
like, you know what I'm trying to say?
Like, they have a longer leash, though. The move was to start new. That was the move. Mara's going to shoot himself in the foot. This is a bad setup. If this team somehow ekes out 6 wins, you think Shane and Dave will keep their jobs? No, they're getting canned. Like, what are we talking about here?
But then what's realistic? You know what I'm trying to say? Then what? Like I said, the only other thing I could think of is that they're here because we have the schedule we have in front of us.
You know what? Really,
it's going to only get better as we keep losing and move forward.
If the new GM and the new coach won 5 or 6 games, they might be like, all right, let's see if we can get better next year.
Yeah, but again, like no one wants to come in and have to do that. You understand what I'm trying to say?
What do you mean?
Like they don't want to have to come in, face a tough schedule, face a division that just had a Super Bowl champion.
There's only 32 of these jobs. Believe me, people are chomping at the.
Yeah, I know, but see, that's the point. That was the discussion we had earlier in the year, where we were saying was like, so what quality candidate are we getting in here? Right? Like, I don't want to just go out and sign fucking Kellen Moore because he had one fucking great game in the Super Bowl. You know what I'm trying to say? Well, the Saints went out and did it because they just signed him. Right? You know what I mean? Like,
it starts with GM, not coach. I think you should start with GM.
All right. So then, who's the assistant GM in fucking Philadelphia?
You know names like that because I don't.
But like, then you got to go to a team like Kansas City or Philadelphia or the Bills or fucking. And again, we did this already, right? Because he came from Bean, who's the GM in Buffalo, and they keep finding guys. And they know how to find these gems. So he came from that. That's what we do. So that's the next best thing you're going to do. Because it's not like someone's going to be failing in Cleveland and that GM is going to be like, all right, I'm tired of this organization. I'm going to come to the Giants. It don't work like that. You now need to find an assistant or somebody below these guys that are going to fit in.
I look at the Houston Texans. Who would have thought that D'Amico Ryan's their coach, fucking Casario, whatever his name is, from New England.
Casario.
Yo, who would have thought that the Houston Texans, they came out of nowhere quick. They got Stroud. They got the quarterback right. They got Nico Collins. They got Mixon as a free agent. They brought in Diggs. Oh, my God. Like, this team, like, has become a division winner in the matter of one season.
A lot of Giants people like Casario. They liked him to come over here. And
I don't even think we gave him an interview. I don't even think he made it to an interview. Because it was coming off of Joe Judge, right? Like,
we have a problem.
Route.
That's part
of the problem. Joe Judge set us back. That whole Gettleman Judge thing, we're still feeling that from that era. We're still feeling that.
Jules, I disagree. I think we're feeling like Vin said earlier. I think we're feeling it from not drafting right since Reese's first draft.
I agree with that. Yep.
We haven't drafted right to extend. We need to get the draft right because
that's what
you can't sign free agents to match shit up.
That's the thing that's driving me nuts. Is like Evan Neal, he's a bust. All right, but like he was still a top tackle in the draft.
He was the right pick. Thibodeau was the right pick. They were the right.
Like,
pick.
What are we supposed to be doing? And then look, George Pickens, who we get criticized all the time because we took Wendell over him. Pickens might get cut. He might not be a fucking Steeler this season.
He's a head case. He's better.
You know what I'm trying to say? So, like, clearly we made the right choice there, too. You know what I mean? Because that was where we were getting a lot of slack. So what I'm trying to say is that, look, we can go through drafts all the time. I saw some tweet that had gone out earlier in the day that basically showed, like, the last decade of fucking Giants third-round picks and that most of them all sucked. Bro, give me fucking the Kansas City Chiefs and show me how many times they hit on the third round over the last 10 years. I guarantee you it's not as much as you think. Maybe 2, 3 out of 10. All right, you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
they hit the quarterback. They hit the quarterback, and
they hit the quarterback exactly. And they had Andy Reid, and they had a playoff team before Pat Mahomes got there. Alex Smith had them in the playoffs 2 seasons before fucking Pat Mahomes took over. Let's not forget that, okay? Everybody wants to talk about how successful Pat Mahomes was in getting to all these Super Bowls early in his career. He was on a fucking playoff team, okay? He went to a playoff team, sat a year, and came into one. Like, dude, what? Like, you couldn't get a better setup. Like, come on, bro. Like, enough with that.
From the organization, your GM and your coach knew what they were doing. It
I
comes
get it,
from
but what
up.
I'm trying to say is that there's too much focus on this draft. You can say that maybe some of these free agents we brought in didn't work out the way they should have. Okay, we can get on some of that, but some did. Like I said, I want to see a track record. I mean, look at what the Chiefs did. The Chiefs went out and they got all these fucking wide receivers. But when push came to shove, you got DeAndre Hopkins, who I loved, was one of my favorite receivers, dropping a wide open fucking
Yeah,
pass.
bad drop.
Where was Hollywood Brown? This guy that we've been hearing about Hollywood Brown for fucking
That
seasons.
cost me.
He's gonna
That
blow up. He's gonna blow up. He's gonna blow up. Kid never blows up. He's never anywhere to be found. He's a first round pick. Like that kind of shit goes on and on and on all the fucking time. So it's almost what I'm trying to say is that you have all these top guys. You almost have to get a little lucky occasionally. You know what I'm trying to say? Like you gotta have a little luck in these drafts.
Jules, but lucky, like K Tibbs, Thibodeau, and Evan Neal. Remember that draft? I was screaming for Kyle Hamilton. I loved him. Notre Dame kid. I wanted him on the Giants. We needed a safety.
He's great for Baltimore.
And then he's one of the best players on the Ravens. And now we got to deal with a bust in Evan Neal, and Tibbs hasn't really shown anything. We could have had Kyle Hamilton in the building. That's what sucks about the Giants. You have to know. You have to know. We say it's the right pick, but you know what? These guys got to know what the right pick is. I wanted Kyle Hamilton. So am I smarter than the GM? No. These guys they do this for a living. They should know this. They should know to get the right guy in the building, and we have it. We have it for so long.
You could go back to that Micah Parsons draft. You know how big I was on that dude. I watched the play at Penn State. That was my guy. I was raving about it.
We trade.
And we traded and we picked up Kadarius Toney.
I wanted Rashawn Slater more than anything. I'm like, oh my God, he fell to us. I wanted Slater.
Another guy.
You see,
that's the problem. That's the problem.
I always look at the Giants, and for whatever reason, I guess it's growing up in the 80s and shit like that. I always think defense first. And I get it. You got to build that O-line. I get all that type of shit. But for me, if there's a defensive stud that's slipping in the draft, because it happens more often with defense than it does offense. All right. I want that guy. I mean, look at Warren Sapp, right? He was a beast in Miami coming out of the draft because they said he smoked a little weed. The dude fell like 15. He was supposed to be a top 5 pick. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, yo, those are the dudes you grab. You understand? Because they can change the game. That game was won on Sunday because of the defensive front. No fucking other thing. All right. Yeah. And of course, there was the threat of Barkley running and all that bullshit. So that opened up the passing game. I get it. But like, dude, that defensive front is what won that game for fucking the Eagles. When we beat the Patriots twice, it was our defensive front that beat the fucking Patriots. When we won Super Bowls in the 80s and 90s, it was the defensive front with Banks and fucking Taylor. That's what won championships for this organization.
That's the Giants' way.
Stay the fucking role. Why try to create the wheel again? It makes no sense.
You know what?
That's what I'm trying to get at.
That's the Giants' way. Win by defense. In the Giants in the Meadowlands, you're not going to have an offense that's going to be explosive. You're not going to have like Kurt Warner's Rams offense where they're just on the fucking turf lighting up 35 points. You're not going to win like that in Giants Stadium as a Giants football team. You got to win in the cold weather. You got to win the defense. You got to run the ball. That's it.
That's it.
They're not doing it. They're not fucking doing it.
See, I gotta push back a little bit on. I agree with a lot of what you guys say, but this is a team that cannot score. We are inept because we can't fucking score. We can possibly get to the red zone every now and then, but we can't score. We have turnovers. I want a quarterback that at least can manage a game and not turn the ball over in big situations. I want to run the ball, but we need a line, guys. Like, I'm done drafting defense. Fuck the defense. No.
Dude, listen,
I love Abdul Carter.
Listen, Philly won this Super Bowl because of their fucking D and offensive line. That's it. They won because of those two things.
Their run game and their weapons had nothing to do with it. But like,
you're not saying it had nothing to do with it.
No. They won the Super Bowl the whole year because they have the best roster from top to bottom. Period.
They're nasty. Top to bottom, you're right.
They not have the number 1 offensive line in the league this year. I guess we're going to throw that out with the bathwater. What are we talking about here?
I said they won on the offensive defensive line. Yeah. But the reason why A.J. Brown could get open versus fucking, say, Hollywood Brown or DeAndre Hopkins or fucking Xavier Worthy, who went off, right? The reason why those guys can get open is because Hurts has got 4 or 5 seconds in the pocket to throw the ball.
But why is also AJ Brown not touching the ball and bitching and reading books on the sideline that he hasn't touched the ball in 6 weeks while they're winning? It's because they're stacked. They're fucking stacked everywhere, and they're healthy. The Philadelphia Eagles have been fucking healthy all year. They've been healthy since for the past 4 years. They don't get injuries. They don't get any major injuries. Saquon Barkley was a walking knee problem with the Giants. This dude goes to Philly. He plays every minute of every game. Every minute. It's unbelievable.
That's the Giants' way, man. We're gonna be like that for the whole offseason.
They gave
Listen,
Jalen.
but if you think it's all about points scored, the top 5 offenses in the league didn't even make the fucking chip.
That's telling.
All right. The Eagles came in at 7 behind the Bengals, who didn't even make the playoffs, the Commanders, who they beat, the Bucks, who lost in the first round, the Ravens, who lost to the Bills in the divisional, the Bills, and the Lions, who lost to the Commanders. So, dude, and the Chiefs, bro, they're not even in they're 15 in points scored for offense. So what are you talking about here, dude? It's not like number 1 and number 2 fucking went in the league. I get when no one wants to score. They don't want to see the Giants averaging 19, 20 points. But if your defense is holding them to 13, you're winning. You're winning. You're winning.
Nobody's doing that, though, in today's game. I don't see it happening.
Why not? The fucking Chargers, the Chiefs got held to 22 in the Super Bowl. And, dude, they got a lucky fucking 8 points at the end of the game.
The Chiefs,
right? I mean, come on, yo.
Chiefs were doing the last dance. They are an anomaly. Like, they were doing the last dance where they were treading water throughout the year to put themselves in position, which they ended up 15-1 by treading water, which shows you
15-2
fourth quarter in close games, and they know how to close games, and they just got by, and they finally played a team that was far superior than them, including Mahomes. Like, Mahomes was under duress from the first drive. The guy couldn't even breathe. You know what I mean? Brady.
Yeah, but you know what? That's where I don't understand it. Andy Reid is usually a better coach than that. Like, how do you not call a screen? They didn't, like, there was so many different things that Andy, like, I think I saw, like, Worthy do an end around once. Yeah, like, all the shit that they were doing that was making that offense more dynamic, the little quick passes, they just didn't do it.
There was no Pacheco, no sense of a run game
at all. They didn't even try to establish the run. They didn't do anything. Like, it was like as if they fucking laid an egg.
I don't remember Kareem Hunt even playing.
I don't think Kareem Hunt did anything.
It was weird, man. It's just fucking weird.
It was a weird thing, man. I'm telling you right now.
But the Eagles completely overmatched them. And
but like I said, like when you look on paper, the Eagles were good. They were a good team. Don't get me wrong, obviously, right? But like they weren't that kind of team. All right. They weren't going out and beating the Lions and dismantling them. They weren't going out. They didn't even dismantle the Commanders. You know what I'm trying to say?
Roster, and look at their coordinators. Vic Fangio is really good. He's had a wonderful career.
He's pretty good, yes. Kellen Moore, I think, got lucky with a lot of this running shit. We'll see what he does in New Orleans. Right?
When the Eagles run the ball, they're successful. When they don't run the ball, that's when they start getting. I think that's what happened to them. Like what happened to them last year? They started to move away from the run. Like that. That's what I think. Because I'm trying to look for an explanation. Because
Swift wasn't 100%, so they had a little bit less of the running game, so they were relying on the pass a little more, and like there was a falling out. AJ got in his head, it was all that bullshit.
And that's where it went haywire. This year they were like, we're not going to repeat the same mistake. We're going to stick to the run. We're going to go against Washington. And
wait, Vince. So they ran the ball really good, and then they played really good defense. Huh. Oh, we did that earlier.
Did the Giants do that?
Wait a second. I don't even understand your point because you act like
Devontae. Because that's what I said that I want the Giants to get back to. When I say that, I always think of defense first. You know what I'm trying to say? And this is probably right now. So last year's draft, everyone knows, was all about wide receivers. This year's draft is about the D fucking line. It is a deep D line draft. Yes, it is. No, it just is. It is. It's boring. Right. It's a deep D line draft. Deep in the D line and deep in running back, believe it or not. Which means we could possibly take one a little later on. Maybe not one of these top guys. But there's guys out there that can go in rounds 3 and 4 that could actually produce in the NFL for real. That's what this is. Like the wide receivers, man, if you're a team that needs a receiver, there's only a handful this year. It's a small class for that.
I don't want it. I don't
No,
want.
I was just saying we're not in that. We're
Right,
not in that
We
position.
got
What
one
I'm trying
already.
to say is other teams that might.
I want to tackle.
Yeah, I get it, but you're not at 3. You know what I'm trying to say? Like
Best
not at
player
3.
available at all fucking costs. Best player available. It never fails.
Yep.
Shit teams, when they fucking try to reach and go for somebody they need, it always fails. It's that's the fucking nature of the beast.
That's what I'm trying to say right now. I'll say this
Right.
until I'm fucking blue in the face. If Abdul Carter is sitting at 3, I don't give
I like
a fuck who else is on the board. Honestly, don't give a fuck who else is on that board. All right.
Don't fuck it up, Joe.
Over Travis Hunter too. I don't care. You're telling me it's Travis Hunter, Shador, and fucking Abdul Carter at 3. I am taking Carter, and I'm not even looking back.
Let's
Okay.
go.
That's how good that kid is.
I don't.
He's that fucking good. He is.
See you in a
I
month.
think he's better than Parsons. I'll put it out there.
Let's wrap it up, guys. Let's see you in a month.
We'll see you. Right. We're gonna leave that with you.
Wait,
Right there.
the
We're gonna leave that hanging.
Make one final note. Kind
It's
of
your show, Ben. Like, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Well, kind of a somber. This weekend is probably one of the worst weekends I've ever dealt with the NFL football. Thursday night really was hard that Eli did not get in the fucking Hall of Fame. I think we're in the long haul waiting for Eli to get in. Everybody's like, oh, it's a done deal. He's going to get in. I don't fucking know. I don't know that. So now I'm really pissed off about that. Then for only about 3 days later, for the Philadelphia Eagles to not just win the Super Bowl and Saquon win the trophy. I hate the Eagles with a passion. And they have multiple Super Bowls now. Yeah. And I can't stand them. So within one weekend, and if we do draft Shador, like I don't know. I think I'm just talking shit. Like I want to take a step back from the NFL, but looking at the schedule, the Giants are in a bad shape. Now, come September, I will be watching on Sunday, but I am not happy in any way. I'm really pessimistic about it all. I'm fucking sad, man. It's fucking sad. It's like it's gone from like anger to like I just feel sorry for myself now because I'm so bitter. I'm not nice to my wife. I'm not nice to my kids. It really is. I'm going to listen to Malarzik sit there like, look at you crying. I just can't.
Yeah, you lost it. You definitely lost it, Ben, because you and your brother are burning jerseys. I'm like,
oh my God.
No.
Yo, I was loving that actually.
How dare you?
I wasn't even happy making the deal because I'm just like, it's not going to matter. Saquon's going to run for 200 yards here. Like, he's going to get the MVP. Like, everything. Like, the only saving grace about this year is that Saquon didn't break the record, which I think they're stupid for. They should have let the guy break the record. I think it was a mistake, but
he'll break it next year.
I'm just...
Listen, all I keep saying is what I want to see what Saquon does next year. Because now you got your trophy, you got your 2,000-yard season, you threw it in the fucking Giants organization face for an entire year, you're pissing on our fucking MetLife.
Week 1.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Let's see you repeat it, bitch. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, do it 2 years in a row because you never did that with us.
He already proved what he had to prove. He proved it.
I don't care. Then go retire. Go fucking Disney World and go fucking retire. Get out of here.
Ring of Honor for the Eagles? Is he in the ring? Is he in the Ring of Honor for the Eagles?
Is he who for the Eagles?
Ring of Honor.
The Ring of Honor.
I don't care. I don't care anymore. Honestly, he's dead to me.
The Eagles got a Ring of Honor? Is it in the jail cell in the middle of the stadium?
Right. That's underneath the stadium that leads out. Like, fuck them. I don't care. Bro, I hate that franchise just like you said. Yeah. I mean, look, I don't want to go on another like negative rant real fast, but I'm pretty sure, which is the only kind of positive, is that we have the most Super Bowls in the NFC East than any other division in football. That's got something to say there. All right.
True.
Like, and we're still number 2 within that division.
Used to be the laughing stock, the NFC East.
You know what I mean? So, like, listen, there's one thing that fucking division does is win chips. All right. So, yes, it's tough. It's not easy. Like, let's take a look. I mean, listen, Dable's got to win some fucking games in the division this season coming. He has to. You can't go fucking and win one game a year in the fucking division. That's part of the reason why they're not winning in football. So, like, you know what, Vin? Like, maybe a 6-7 win season. I get it. You don't want him to stay around. But if he wins 7 games and he wins 3 in the division, he ain't going fucking anywhere. I'm gonna let you know that right now.
Where do you think that we're gonna beat anybody else?
I'm not. That's why I said if. All right.
Our
Nobody's
division just
all
won.
right.
Two of these teams played in the NFC Championship game. We are light years behind the teams that
Yeah, I'm just telling you, like, you know what? I know that they had an amazing run in Washington. They really did. I'm not gonna take anything away. Let's
but
see what happens in year two.
You are.
You had the Super Bowl hangover.
You
You
are.
have the Super Bowl hangover. I mean, look, is Dallas really going to be that threatening? I mean, they're paying fucking Dak Prescott like $100 million this year. They got no
Maybe-
room for anything else.
maybe they'll realign the divisions.
$86 million or something ridiculous.
Maybe we'll go play in Arizona.
You know,
Arizona
I just say it like, dude, we'll see. We'll
Dallas,
see.
Dallas will have an easier schedule than us, and they'll eke out more wins.
How would Dallas have an easier schedule?
We have the hardest schedule in the NFL.
Yeah, that's because we played fucking Philly and Dallas and Washington twice.
No, we have the hardest schedule in the NFL.
I know that, yeah, but like how would we finish fourth and Dallas, who finished third, has an easier road? That doesn't make any sense.
I'm telling you a fact. We have our opponents have the highest winning percentage this past season
Going into 2025.
going into next year.
That's no doubt about it.
That's a fact. I don't know what it is about the NFL schedule makers that I heard is a couple, like this old couple from the Midwest. They stick it.
That's true, but all right.
They love us. Yeah, I think that's false. I don't know.
I don't know. I would think like they let the NFL be done by this old couple.
From a mom and pop shop in like Missouri.
Their family made the first schedule in the NFL, so they just kept it that way forever.
Like, yeah, let's just see how we can fuck the Giants every year.
Can you imagine? And then Goodell's like, we're gonna add these Thursday games. Now we're gonna do a Black Friday game. He must be like, fuck, what are we gonna do now?
Yeah.
He go get the board out. I can still see the fucking pinning shit on the board.
Jesus Christ. All right, that's
that's it. All right, look. What a fucking shitty Super Bowl. What a shitty offseason so far for the Giants. Nothing's good. It's all bleak. It's all going to end. All right, fuck it. At least the spring's coming. It's a couple of months away. And with that, it'll be NFL free agent signing. I believe it's March 15th that it opens. And then we'll be looking at the draft. So we're going to take a little break. Not much going on in the NFL. Obviously, if something major shakes out between then and now, you'll hear from us. But until then, be safe. Watch some basketball. Pitches and catches started today. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.
Peace.
Go Eli.